Race 7 of the BMW IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup. We're in the Adirondack Mountains in upstate New York in the shadow of Mount Van Hoevenberg. This track, which has been twice an Olympic venue at Lake Placid, New York. Hello, everybody. I'm Martin Haven. Alongside me as we get ready for our second and deciding heat, John Morgan. John, we've got a great-looking race shaping up.
Well, the first heat, it was about who had the best starts. Kanikina here from Russia. She's had one medal in her career earlier this season, and she posted the best start time and flew down the track, lost time on the bottom part of the track. She was the leader all the way down, about 80% of the way, and she's ended up and tied for third place next to Kendall Vessenberg of the United States, Modesto, California athlete, and she's medaled once before in her career, January 18 in St. Moritz. Hasn't really had any close to the podium finishes this season, so she had a good run, great run, put herself in a podium position, but they're chasing down Jacqueline Lewin, no surprise. This athlete with the 15th worst start of the first heat, but she is a speed merchant, the tallest, biggest athlete in the field. She uses her mass to her advantage, and she comes down. She's in second place, and they're all going to be chasing down the leader in the World Cup, Elena Nikitina, who, wow, second best start, and she just flew down the track. Went early in the competition, and Martin, there's a reason she's the World Cup leader. I think she's one of the best starters, and I think she's turning into being one of the best drivers down the track.
Yeah, she really is. She's somehow managed to convert her loose style of sliding into real high speed. She has a 2/10 advantage over Jacqueline Lurling, but on this track, that could just be one mistake away. We've got a really tight battle on our hands for the medals. We've got lots of close quarters action as well. Savannah Grable, 300s ahead of Renata Kutsina, 700s between the British sliders. All sorts of action to be looking at, but Jacqueline Lurling, she will take this all in her stride. And a couple of years ago, it looked as though Elena Nikitina would be a one-hit wonder, would have won one race. She came back and won a second one a couple of years ago. And she's now got a total of 5 race wins, 4 since November 2017. So she has really hit some form.
Well, you saw the weather. You know, at Adirondacks, you could see a little bit of clouds coming in. Yeah. It's warm, and I sensed rain earlier, and you can see up top of the track, it's a little bit of snow, but down here where we are, it's a little misty.
Yeah, I was just walking back up from the press room, and it's kind of half flakes of snow, half drops of rain, so the shades will stay down. Madison Charney, you just saw her warming up. This is her first World Cup weekend since December 2014 when she raced in Lake Placid and Calgary. Those are only 2 World Cup starts. She'll be first off ahead of her. Maddie Smith, Kimberly Boss, Ashley Pittaway, and so on. And then we get down to our leader, Elena Nikitina. She'll be the last to go, defending her slender lead. 2/10 of a second is a very small amount of time. Maddie Charney of Canada, her 3rd ever World Cup race. She kicks us off in the first heat. 300s is the gap to the sled in front of her.
Yeah, she hasn't been on the World Cup Tour, like you said, Martin, but probably had a lot of trips down this track in the ICC or the North America's Cup competitions. Made some mistakes up top in the first run. Let's see if she can post a better run here and have a chance to move out. Well, it's pretty close. She's only like 20 hundredths out of the 2 positions in front of her.
Yeah, understandable to have a little nerves. It's been a long while since she's been in a World Cup spot. This is looking like a tidier run as well. I think with the day warming up, the track will just offer them a little bit more grip, a bit more control.
She had the 9th best start time, and she had a big tap there in the chicane. Crossover here, 18-19. Now this section goes uphill. Can't make a mistake right here in the exit of 17-18. Gets through there, 58-82. She is 3,700 slower than her first run. I don't think that's because she didn't have a better trip. I think the track has started to get soft. Warmer conditions, as I said, rain. And Martin, most of this track is covered. It's got a roof on it. So there's only a couple places where the rain might take hold, but the ice is just softer because of the temperatures of the track.
And that allows the runners to dig in a little more. See here, she's a little less sideways than on the first trip.
And you have more control when the ice is softer. She tries to get through this bend away, the chicane. It's not straight. Taps, skids. You'll see somebody come right down there, a number of competitors right through that gap perfectly.
Big smile from Maddie Charney from Canada. Next up is Madeline Smith. So Madison Charney and Madeline Smith, 300ths of a second apart. 7th fastest start for Maddie Smith.
Yeah.
9th fastest start for Maddie Charney, so you can tell that neither of them really had the trip down the ice they wanted. Maddie Smith has got this interesting way of sort of walking up the ice, putting her sled down and coming back to the blocks. Little idiosyncrasies that all these athletes develop.
Well, everybody's got a different way of jumping on that little tray, as we call it. So she's got the green numbers in the lead. She's got 300ths to play with. Her start time was 300ths better, so she's got 600ths to play with, so she's only 800ths ahead. She should have been better than that with the 300 start advantage.
A little tidier at the top than she was in the first run. She had a big skid early on in the first heat. 700, still keeping her nose in front.
Now into the three-quarter combination they call the labyrinth. Every track has to have one. Now Benham's Bend, back with the Placid native who won 2 gold medals, the 52 Bobsleigh Olympics in Oslo.
Now she's going to accelerate away. She's run of speed out of chicane. She didn't hit like Maddie Charney did, so Madeline Smith will pull away at the bottom.
Yeah, she really did. 56.47, only 500 slower than her first run.
And she found about 3/10 at the bottom there because of that clean exit out of Benham's Bend, shot the chicane, and that speed stayed on board all the way up the hill. So big smile from Maddie Charney in the leader's box as she waves goodbye. Little brush down the wall from Madeline Smith. And that's at exit 3.
Yeah, that's
big gouge in the wall that everybody hits.
A lot of people. Then she tries to get through here, but she doesn't get there through cleanly. But she did get through there.
Well, you saw some ice flying off the wall, but it didn't put her sideways, and that's the key. So Madeline Smith, the leader. We've got 14 sleds to go, first of whom Kimberly Boss. Sled being held by Kristen Bromley. And the Dutch slider. 12th place in the race here last year, Kimberly Boss. In fact, in 2 previous World Cup races, she has been 12th in both. So 14th after the first heat. A little below par first round. Let's see if she can birdie a few and bring herself back into contention.
Yeah, she's the more experienced of the previous 2 sliders coming down and has had more success. She's got 2200ths to work with. Keep your eyes on that start speed. That's the velocity where you push the sled, jump on, and that's how you exit the first curve. So the combination of a good start, getting on the sled cleanly and around the first curve will give you the good start of the velocity. Good in the Devil's Highway. 3, almost 4/10, but does not exit shady on the right side. This
little skiddy, but she's just trying to let the sled fly.
Yeah, Mark.
Oh, just almost got through the chicane. What's the speed? 1:13.72. That should see her stay in the lead ahead of Madeline Smith.
She'll be the leader. The question is how much? Can she match 56.20? No. First time 56.35.
Yeah.
Or 56.20, then a 56.35.
So she squeezes in front of Madeline Smith. Her advantage after the first heat, 2200. She added another 1200s with the second heat.
This is pretty good, but I think this athletes are going to have a lot of control. That's the exit of Shady. She came out too early, dumped that wall, bumped the wall, then she went into the wrong 3-quarter combination, the labyrinth's in the wrong direction. Martin, I think the athletes are going to have a lot of control of the sleds. The ice is just soft.
Yeah.
She's the leader.
Three down, 13 to go here in Lake Placid. Race 7 of 8 in the BMW IBSF World Cup for Women's Skeleton. Although in Calgary, we will make up the missing race that didn't happen in Königssee because of the snow in Bavaria about a month ago. So this is round 7, but we've only actually had 5 races up until now. Here's Ashley Pittaway, the 18-year-old youngster from Great Britain.
Well, told the story in the first heat. We'll tell it again. She came in for the headshot, first event of the season, the former junior Olympic champion, and we saw her as a 15-year-old a few years ago as the junior world champ, but all of a sudden, just a little body odor in the room, and I was smelling my clothes, and her coach said, "John, it's not you, it's her." And I said, she says, "She never washes her uniform. She thinks it's bad luck." Boy, I don't think anybody wants to stand next to her at the top of the track in the changing room, Martin, because there was a little odor.
All right, well, look, she's just driven herself into the lead over Kimberly Boss. This is only her 6th ever World Cup.
She also says she thinks it's better for aerodynamics.
Yeah. Well, the suit is a special weave in it to try and create a micro layer of air, and she says she doesn't want to ruin that in the tumble dryer or the washing machine. And at the line, 5900's up. That's a good run. 55.97 in the first heat, 55.99
yeah, it's the best
in the
run
second.
of the heat. That's the athlete with the most consistency. Yeah. That's why she's the leader. Gives up so much time at the start. She had the worst start of the 16 athletes in the first heat. And Martin, if she's going to be successful, she's going to have to improve on that start. Now, the person who had the 15th best start is in second, so I can't. But she's different. Look at those lines there. I mean, that's as good as anybody coming down so far.
Bye, Mum and Dad. Thanks for your support.
Thank you, Mum and Dad, every athlete's greatest sponsor. Laura Dees of Great Britain next up. Now, she was just 0.07 of a second faster than Ashley Pittaway. Laura in 12th place after the first heat, was the bronze medalist here 3 seasons ago.
She's got too many World Cup medals. Of course, the Olympic bronze medalist from last year's Olympic Games in Korea. And for her to be back in this position, I'm sure she's very disappointed. She had the 5th best start, a 5:27.
Well, last year she was in 5th place in the race. 10th the year before, bronze the year before that. So this is still a track that she's not consistently quick on.
33.600 slow, well off the pace.
Well, there's that 700s advantage over Ashley Pittaway, gone immediately because Pittaway went 400s quicker.
Pittaway with her only separated by 700s.
Big skid for Laura as she came out of cliffside. Whistling through the Devil's Highway, past the lower start there and into Shady.
1500s. Good exit out of Shady though. That slingshot effect on the bottom part of the track through the labyrinths. Benham's bend and out of the chicane. Oh, hard, and she lost time.
She's going to go down. Ashley Pittaway will remain our leader. Laura's already in the
speed's off the pace too. Now exit uphill. Oh, she hits there twice. 4th best time of the run. She's lucky she didn't fall more than that. She stayed right ahead of Kimberly Boss by 600s. Laura Dees, last year's Olympic bronze medalist. Not a very good opening runs here in Lake Placid.
That was 0.7 of a second slower than her first trip. That was a disaster.
There's no lets, Mark.
Yeah.
Both heats count.
Yeah.
And this was not the way to do it. Bang, bang. She doesn't try and steer away. That comes pretty good. But those 2 hard hits at the speed part of the track. And then here didn't help. This is uphill. You hit going uphill in a gravity sport. Not a very good strategy.
Well, she had a bloody nose after the first heat, literally and metaphorically, a bit of a blooding in the second heat as well. Not a great run from Laura Dees. 11th after the first of our 2 heats, the first of our Russian sliders. This is Renata Kutsina. Renata, just 24 years old, in her 19th World Cup race. Looking to try and fight away into the top 10. A top 10 spot only 300s away. Little better load on the sled. She slipped in the first start.
Unlike her Russian teammates who have the top 2 starts in the competition, she had the 13th best start.
But look at the difference it made. Her first start with that slip on the final step, 5:41. This is a 5:33.
Yeah, much better. That would have put her.
And it gives her extra momentum as well as that speed over the first 50 meters. So
yeah, that would have put her up in the top 10 easy, Mark.
Yeah, 4/10 ahead of Ashley Pittaway of Great Britain.
Huge lead there.
And she was only 1500s in front of the British girl from the first heat.
Look at her legs apart, though.
Yeah.
Unlike most athletes, you see with their feet, their hands got together there.
Here's the wearing red, white, and blue. Could be Katie Eulender's sliding style there, using the knees a lot.
It's uphill.
Very different way of sliding, but it works for her. And at the line,
16:55,
she came back
98.
1600s up. So only 100th quicker than Ashley Pittaway on that run.
But she had time in the bank.
Yeah, she had 1500s in hand.
It's a good result for her. She's potentially getting the top 10.
Well, Renata, her last 2 races here, her only 2, 20th 2 years ago, 22nd last year. So this is a big step up.
Well, through the chicane, the ice is soft, and
controls it nicely.
Right there.
Yeah.
Give her an A-, a little bit of a skid there.
Well, from 20th and missing the cut to halve her handicap, she's the leader with 10 to go here. So Renata Kutsina ahead of Ashley Pittaway and Laura Dees. 6 down, 10 to come. Well, you can still see a little bit of blue sky overhead, a little bit of cloud as well. There is a front coming through, and we're hoping that today will remain relatively dry. You can see the shades are down alongside the track, and it's covered all the way down now. Some fantastic development work being done by Order, the Olympic Regional Development Authority, keeping this track right up to date, John. I mean, it's...
Look at the roofs. Look at all the roofs.
And that means that, you know, in a snowstorm, we still get a race away.
And Martin, right next door, right, you can barely see through the trees. That's the old track, the 1932 track, 1980 track.
It's one of the things I love about coming here is the old track, like Cortina, set into the ground. It's still here. The concrete channel is still there.
There you can see it over that tractor is the other side. That's the old track. That's the exit of Zigzag, below Zigzag at a curve 15. And that's the track I was born and raised on with my father. A lot of history over there.
Yeah. A lot of broken bones and grazed knuckles, I would think, on that track. There's Renata Kutsina, our current race leader. With 10 to go, her teammates looking to try and tie up a 1-2 here.
Yeah, if they show us the... There you go, that's the shot now. The Adirondacks, you blink your eyes here, the weather could change. Right now, before we couldn't see those mountains as the race started. And now we're seeing some clearing, but, you know, we did feel raindrops. When you walked out of there, I felt some raindrops too, but it's warm.
So what you're saying is it's like Florida. Don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes.
Wait 5 minutes. Well, we've had some weather here. Earlier in the week, it was cold.
Yeah.
And it's been cold here since mid-November.
Yeah. Beautiful weather for the kids to come out and watch the racing. So lots of local school kids coming out today to see the action from local primary and secondary schools. And we've got lots of action to get through. Got women's skeleton and then women and two-man bob. Lake Placid, New York, 10 sleds to go, race 7 of the BMW IBSF Women's Skeleton World Cup. And in 10th place after the first of the 2 heats, the USA's Savannah Graybill. She loves restoring antique motorcycles, 30-year-old in her 24th World Cup start. 5:52 getaway, that's a little slower than her first heat, John Morgan.
47, 13th best, 14th best start, third worst of the field, and home track. So
she's just 300s ahead of the current leader, Renata Kutsina, from the first heat. Let's see if she can bring herself back into the green. At the moment, she's at a deficit to the Russian. Russian started maybe 2/10 quicker.
She's well off the pace. She could drop 3 or 4 places here if she doesn't find a speed line on the bottom, but it is her home track. How's she do through the chicane? Absolutely perfect, but that 4,300 deficit, she might get it back to 2000s or 25, but she's definitely going to drop a few places.
Made her World Cup debut here back in 2014, finished a fine 5th position.
She's going to drop 3 spots.
3 spots back. Saw Caleb Smith back with the US program after a number of years coaching Great Britain. He's a native here in Lake Placid, and
good run on the bottom, but the start, you know, when you have, then she made a little mistake up top, which with the deficient start here was perfect. This is This is if you're going to do a training video how to get through the chicane. That's as good as it gets. Look at her turn her shoulders to try and get onto the curve. The take-ons where you get on, the outlets where you get on.
So Savannah Graybill drops a spot, and that puts Renata Kutsina into a top 10 position in Lake Placid for the first time in her life. Kim Milemans 9th after the first heat, and Kim with 2 previous World Cup starts here, 12th place in both of them. On the left you can see Matthias Guggenberger coaching the Austrians and the Belgians, and he's now retired, kind of admitted he's retired.
He's retired.
I think he's enjoying the coaching too much, particularly with his partner Janine Flott doing so well this season again. See what Kim can produce. 5:31 first start, 5:28. That's what you want. A little bit quicker, more juice at the start.
Previous 2 athletes were 400 or 500 slower at the start. So that was a big improvement. Here's the little tap, very light. Now into the white face curve, exit. Now to a 3-corner combination called Devil's Highway. They call it that for good reason. It's a challenge. Through 8, over 9, Shady 2. There's a Shady 1 on the other old track.
Little clip as she went into 12, and there's the result. Late down into
intense speed, not very good speed. These 2000s could all go away. She needs to be perfect in the uphill section here, or they're going to catch her.
She's lost ground.
Oh,
she hits the wall
Oh.
twice at the line, drops a couple of spots as well. 56.37. Renata Kutsina with a clean run is clawing her way up the greasy pole.
But 11, Kerm 11 and 12, that labyrinth combination got in there late. And you know, the exit of Shady determines how you get down the rest of the track. So Shady is, I call it about a slingshot effect. Well, she wants the slingshot effect down here, but look, she comes in, crosses over to the wrong side of this next curve, comes in late, forces her late here, she taps going in. Now watch the result. So that mistake right there was caused 150 meters previous to that. Setting yourself up for the bottom part of this track, the exit is Shady, is everything.
Well, disappointed Kim Milemans walks away, having slipped a couple of spots. Ashley Pittaway, by the way, in 2nd place still, behind Renata Kutsina. They're both climbing the order. As we get to Jane Channel, 8th after the first heat, the Canadian girl. An accountant, obviously, this is her sport of choice, from North Vancouver, in her 37th World Cup start. She's been 6th here twice, but 2 years ago she was 16th. This is kind of halfway between the two.
One of the better starters in the field, 4th at the opening event in Sigulda, double-digit placing since then. And Martin, when she got 4th at the World Championships in 2015 in Winterberg, I said, wow, the Canadians got some great athlete here, but she really hasn't risen from that point on. You know what, she's got one of the better starts on tour. 5500's lead right here. I mean, that's an eternity time.
Canadian program's been a little bit of turmoil as well. I'm sure that hasn't exactly helped.
Watch the time back, the exit here. Good. And the labyrinths. So she's better than a scorpion there.
Yeah, 11-12 crossover wasn't great.
7, the speed's not good. 2700s. Could be either way. Could be red numbers here. Close, there's the red numbers, so she lost everything.
Unbelievable, from 5500 up. Look how slow the sled looks at the bottom. She lost 3/4 of a second.
How about the Russian athletes? Moved up 4 spots.
Yeah.
Jane Chanel's getting.
And Ashley Pittaway has moved up as well. Ashley Pittaway currently 2nd with 7 to go.
5500's lead before the halfway part of the track. That tells you how much of a challenge it is. This,
Yikes.
you know,
that's where it all goes away, and from there on down, she's just hemorrhaging time. Yeah.
We don't have any speed down here in this track, especially in that uphill section at the end. And she hits here.
Yeah.
This is where 1500's there twice.
That was head into the ice first.
Double digits.
That was a big hit for Jane Channel.
Looks
no
like
wonder
she's limping a little bit.
That's knocked the wind out of her sails.
Track is clear. Choose start 1.
Well, high drama here. Renata Kutsina of Russia leads with 7 to go. This is Tina Hermann of Germany. Herman just about the most experienced slider in the field now. This is her 38th World Cup start.
One of the decent start all the time, former world champion.
Yeah,
36 in the first run, 33 at 300's better. How many athletes have we seen go better? This is the first one. And I don't think she likes where she is. I mean, she's ranked in the top 3 in the World Cup points. Back here at 10, she's a better slider than that. She's had decent results on this track before.
Well, she's had a couple of fourths, but not for 3 years. She's been 10th the last 2 trips out here. And that's kind of where she is in the World Cup pecking order, really. She's sort of 10 to 5 rather than 5 to 1 these days.
See if she gets out of 12. Yes, 20. Now is to have a chance to move up. Straight. And she comes out of the Benham's Bend. Not bad. 114.8. That's 71.3 miles per hour.
How much is she going to hang on to? It's decent speed. Will she take the lead from Kutsina in the line? She does.
56.02. Boy, she's way up. The track has really slowed down. 6,300 slower. Remember, Ashley Pittaway only went 200 slower from her first run. But I get you, the warm conditions out here, we're getting near late morning. Temperature change here in the Adirondacks can affect the ice.
I was talking to Jeff Payne about it, who's here coaching the Canadians, and he's been sliding on this track since it reopened in 2000, and he was saying, yeah, 10 o'clock to 10:30, that's where you really notice the change in the ice.
Look at her, with her head tilting away from trying to not hit that wall.
Paddling away with the toes.
Then in Benham's Bend and through the chicane, the pivotal part of the track.
Watch for the ice flying, there it is.
Because she's on the wrong side going into the next curve.
That's a face we've seen a lot from Tina Herman this year.
That's the leader, and she's not very happy.
No, well, she wouldn't be. There are still 6 to go, not 1 or 2 to go. So Tina Herman leads from Renata Kutsina with 6 to go. We've had one German. We've got another German next up, Sophia Griebel, who will fall away back into the World Cup team at the beginning of last season for the North American races, then was bumped out by Anna Fernstedt. Fernstedt has since left.
5:34 start, 600's better than her first run, so the German coaches have just ordered them, hey, get a better start here.
Yeah.
Of course, this is the Germans right now, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4 in the World Cup.
Sophia's best result this season, a couple of 5th places, including last time out in St. but her World Cup bests do not include any trips to the podium yet.
1600s. Each still keep that 1600s. Herman was pretty good down here. Any mistake? Oh, 2000. She's pulling away. Speed's better than Herman, 70.5. If she hits in the exit going uphill there, she could throw away the lead.
She was fighting on the exit of the chicane.
No,
she
gets through
11. Across the line,
55.99. That's 0.6 slower.
Well, that's the same time that Ashley Pittaway posted.
Wow.
55.99 and 55.98 for Renata Kutsina. So that is actually the 3rd fastest or equal 2nd fastest trip.
They went 10 sleds ago.
Yep.
I really think that the temperature's changed a couple degrees. Ice a little bit softer.
Yeah, could well be.
And you're dealing with hundreds of seconds in the ice. Everything counts.
Look at the feet. She's so busy paddling with the feet there, making tiny adjustments all the time. Especially here. Watch the exit of the chicane. Look at that.
She sneaks through there pretty good. Now she's trying to get over on the left side of our screen to take onto the curve, to control her destiny to the exit of the curve.
That's a real bucking bronco she's riding there. Takes the lead away from Tina Herman. Germany 1-2, 5 to go. Next up is the last woman to win in the Women's Skeleton World Cup. Mimi Reneva of Canada claimed her 2nd career win in St. Moritz, Switzerland as well. She does start well, 3rd fastest in the field with 5:19 first heat getaway.
Look at that helmet, beautiful. 5:17, even better. Didn't have a clean ride on the bottom part of the track, but she needs to post the time, get in the leader's box, and catch me if you can.
She's 1400ths out of silver here. This could be a huge
With that start time, especially with Lolan such a bad start, Lolan needs to have a perfect run down the track, which she usually does.
Bronze medalist here 2 years ago.
Really pulling away.
3,300 up, looking for the line.
Last time out in St. Moritz, she won.
Nice stuff, look at the speed, 109, 68 miles an hour. That's the quickest we've seen.
70.3 there. Down to 2,200. She's lost some time back.
Just about enough ice left to hang on. Looks like she's still got speed.
It's got to be clean.
Down the line, 1100s, 55.
How about those last 3 times? 55.98, 55.99, 56.01. Everybody's coming down almost in the exact time. But Mimi Rivera could do no worse than 5th.
Well, that would be her best result here since her bronze a couple of years ago. It's only her 3rd World Cup race, last year 7th.
Well, this is up top, you know, and this everybody taps there. You can see the gouge in the walls, and then into Whiteface curve. Here's on the exit of Shady, the slingshot part of the track, and then now here into Bennon's Bend. And boy, Martin, there wasn't a lot of mistakes. A little bit of wrong drift there, and that hit, that definitely cost her.
Well, Mimi leads with 4 sleds to go, and now we start really fighting for the medals.
Good job.
A lot of camaraderie in the sport.
We had a tie for 3rd after the first of our 2 heats. Yulia Kanakina tied the time set by Kendall Wessenberg of the USA, so she goes first. And Kendall will be next up. This for the medals. Race leader is Canada's Mimi Reniva, the former ballerina, ex-junior world champion, still only 22, Kanakina.
5:09. Whoa, what happened there?
Wow, 5:17.
What happened? Something happened there. Don't go 800 slower than you do in the first heat without, maybe she was conservative lines, I would know. I don't know why she would do that.
Might just have slipped a little, loading onto the sled, but it's a decent looking ride. Like in the first heat, she's quite wild and loose.
But she wasn't very good on the bottom part of the track.
Yeah.
Down to 200s.
200s.
Exit here is important. Decent.
Yeah. Good looking lines. Good exit there.
Red numbers now. Rivera's going to catch her with the...
Needs a good chicane, gets a decent chicane, 500
Speed's off the pace.
Mimi Reniva was quicker.
Speed is not good.
Reniva is going to lead with 3 to go. Kanakina is out of the medals, surely. Wow,
6th time of the run. Drops 3 spots.
Mimi could be closing in on a 2nd medal here in Lake Placid in 3 years. Kanakina, 4th place, will not take a medal away from this race.
She'll be very disappointed. The start. What happened at the start?
It's still the consistency that really decides it.
Well, we don't see the start, but we'll see down here in the bottom part of the track. Her head's up there, taps before the take on a 12 and then 13. But we're going to feed on. She was very unsure of herself coming out of the Benham's Bend into the chicane.
Yeah, really wrestling it to try and get the
line. She had problems on the bottom part of the track in the first run too.
So Kanakina 4th place with 3 to go. Mimi Reniva, we're looking for a North American in the medals here. Mimi Reniva leads. Next up is Modesto, California native Kendall Wessenberg of the USA. This could be huge for her. 9th, 13th and 14th are her 3 World Cup results here in Lake Placid.
And she's won 1 World Cup medal in her career. January 18 in St. Moritz, a long 1,600-meter plus track.
You can see her teammates there yelling at the top of the track.
This is a big heat, 5:43, 700 slower than her first run. And boy, does she have a lot to catch up on Mimi Rivera, who posted into the 5:17 start.
Yeah, so that's 2,500 she's given away at the beginning of the race. She was only 600s ahead of Mimi.
4:10, she's got to stop the bleeding. Next clock, she keeps it at 37, 38. She's got a chance at the bottom.
Well, she's like Jacqueline Lurling. She builds speed.
41, still bleeding. Exit needs to be perfect. Oh, she's on the wrong side into the 3/4 combination, the labyrinth. That's clean there. Now out of chicane. That's perfect. Down to 32. Great speed.
Big speed.
She's running out of track, though.
I think Mimi Reniva is going to hang on. Kendall Wessenberg may take a medal, but she's not going to take the lead here.
Oh, she does it. Medal. That's a medal for Kendall Wessenberg.
I only opened my mouth to change feet. Kendall Wessenberg is the leader with 2 to go.
There's some home track cooking right there. Somebody that found the fast line.
Last US medal was Annie O'Shea, who claimed her only World Cup win here 3 years ago.
Boy, did the US program need that.
Yeah.
That's the first medal of the season in bob or skeleton for the United States program.
Wow. Guaranteed at least a bronze medal
Didn't
here.
look good, but the 700s deficiency from her first heat at the start. Bang hard here, and she drifts to the left. I mean, 4100s down. Look at
Hey,
Caleb
Caleb.
Smith. Loving that, but
That's
hey,
almost as happy as when one of his bottles of wine
Thanks,
turns
dude.
out to be a good one. He gets the big hug and congratulations. Kendall Wessenberg leads, 2 to go.
well,
Now then, there were 0.08 of a second separating joint third from second after the first of our 2 heats here. What can Jacqueline Lurling do? The Olympic silver medalist.
okay, so we don't want to watch the first 60 meters because she's going to post the second worst or the worst start time.
If she can do even
51.
100th quicker than
51 in the first run.
44.
44. Uh-oh.
That's a big.
She put the afterburners on there from the first heat.
Well, Kendall only started 5:43, so effectively the starts are the same.
But this is probably the queen of speed in this sport. She finds a way to take that big mass she's got, and she knows how to fly.
She's from 800s to 1100s ahead of Kendall Wessenberg.
The exit of Shady is going to be, the pivotal part for her. If she comes clean here,
This is a nice
look at
looking
that,
run.
perfect. Now the question is this for gold?
Little hit there. Lurling does not often make the same mistake.
Look at this, perfect. Look at the speed, 72.3, best speed of the heat.
This could be the first German winner on this track in nearly a decade.
Wow, 55.52. Everybody else is 6, 7, 8 tenths. She's like 4 tenths slower.
Everybody's in the 90s. Where's she found a 50
Well, that's
from?
what she does, though. Queen of speed.
Wow.
Doesn't
now-
have a start. I mean, she is, a little obtrusive in the world of the sport with the no start.
That
this
lays
unbelievable.
down one heck of a challenge for Elena Nikitina of Russia. Big smile from Jacka.
So anybody that says, you need to start to win, which I always say it is, but
Yeah.
she's an exception to the rule. But look at the lines. And she's 6'2", Martin, tall.
Yeah.
A little bit like Lizzie Arnold, a little bit like Noelle Pikus pace.
5th in Sigulda, the only time she's been off the podium this year. She won in Winterberg, hasn't won since.
Okay, game on.
Elena Nikitina, the winner in Sigulda and Altenburg, 2 real drivers' tracks.
Let's see if Nikitina can maintain her start. 5'11". Remember, her teammate was 7, 800 slower. Let's see if Nikitina, the
Looked
World
like a
Cup
neat
leader,
load. Is she in single digits?
5'10", better. So that's the first albatross.
Her own
Ooh,
start
strip
record,
there.
5:03.
She's got 60, 70 hundredths now at this next clock. 7,300. You say you can't throw that away. Commentator Jinx.
Good.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not World Cup points leader. The yellow jersey of the points leader, twice a winner this season, Elena Nikitina. Her worst result of 4th place.
She owns this track record at the start of all the facilities she goes to.
Half her
And
World
now
Cup
she's learning how to
seasons.
drive. Down to 5,400s, not the speed.
Still wild.
Full mile an hour
71
down.
Still
Coming
not
back.
enough.
She's got enough.
It's going to be victory for Elena Nikitina.
No!
It
Tie!
is, but it isn't, but it is. It's a tie for gold. Elena Nikitina and Jacqueline Lurling
Come
both
on.
win it.
Come on.
That's how we start racing in North America, with a dead
This is
heat
what
for
happened
gold.
at the Olympics last year, stuff
Yeah.
like this.
All
That's
right.
crazy. 7,300 lead. How can you, how good was Lurling,
Yeah.
or did Nikita make a mistake?
Well, Nikitina wasn't as wild as the first heat. Maybe
She got
the
a gold
ice
medal, but it's a
was just
disappointing
little
gold
soft.
medal.
Well, a win's a win, and she still gets the points, and she will go into the double race weekend in Calgary, still with the
A
World
starter's
Cup
track.
points
A
lead.
starter's track.
There you go.
I'm betting on her to win both races.
There you go.
There's our #1 fan on the planet from Russia.
Elena Nikitina and Jacqueline Lurling claim gold, and it is bronze for Kendall Westenberg of the USA. What a great way for her to start the North American trail. Well, there's Renata Kutsina offering her congratulations. And Elena, her 6th career win, her 5th since November 2017. She won one and then had a fallow 3.5 seasons, and now she can't stop claiming medals.
Best start of the second run.
It's not just the starting now, it is the fact that she can hold that speed all the way down the track, and that's the big difference this year. So Jacqueline Lurling and Elena Nikitina, that's the first time they've tied. Lurling, that is her 9th career win, her 20th career podium in her 30th World Cup race.
So World Cup standings for first and second will not change,
no,
for sure.
The gap between them will remain the same as they continue to ease away from the rest of the field, led by Tina Hermann. Kendall Westenberg, huge result for her and for US Skeleton. Mima and Eva 4th, Sophia Griebel and Tina Hermann 5th and 6th. Kanakina will be disappointed, but Kutsina and Ashley Pittaway both climbed up into the top 10 from 11th and 13th. So good day for them.
I think this has a lot of mirror of what we're going to see in Whistler.
Yeah, and Calgary as well. We got to get the gliders out of the way in Calgary. Double race weekend there. Well, high drama at the end of the very first action of the day here in Lake Placid. This afternoon, we get into bobsledding. We've got women's bobsled and 2-man bob, and we're going to run them consecutively. So we'll have the first heat of the women, then the first heat of the 2-man, then the second heat of the women, then the second heat of the 2-man. So it'll be, yeah, hurry up offense with no huddle all the way through this afternoon's races. And that's, it gives the athletes an hour off between their runs, gives the track workers and the commentary team and the TV crew about 2 seconds. So a little break for lunch now as the clouds roll over the Adirondack Mountains. Whiteface have been open for skiing since early November, and all the ski trails, the snowshoeing here, everything is frozen solid. So the speed oval outside the high school that was used in the 1932 and 1980 Winter Games, and that's likely to be used if Lake Placid is successful in attracting the Youth Olympic Games in 2026. That would be fantastic.
Yes.
Well, there is your podium.
They just cry and stuff. No words, just cry.
Kendall Westenberg looking very happy indeed, and rightly she should be. Put herself in with a shot of the medals in the first heat and laid down another smoking run in the second. Silver medal, January 2017, Samoritz, still her career high, but her first medal in North America. And Lake Placid, where a lot of the US athletes spend much of their time, is going to be very well appreciated by her and her teammates. First of our North American races here in the Adirondack Mountains in Lake Placid, women's skeleton, and we've seen not one but 2 winners. Jacqueline Lurling undoing a 0.2 of a second deficit from the first heat behind the wild and speedy Elena Nikitina. Lurling found a little bit more at the start. Nikitina 100th quicker, but the sled that clearly worked so well in slightly harder ice conditions in the first heat just had enough to stay with Lurling, and they tied to the 100th of a second to claim 2 gold medals. Nikitina still our World Cup points leader. The gap still 43 points ahead of Lurling as they scored identical points. Tina Herman, Sophia Griebel, and then Mimi Reneva in 5th now. Kendall Wessenberg with a bronze medal leaps up to 6th position in the standings, where she was in 9th coming in here, ahead of Kanakina and Kutsina. So Kutsina climbing up the order, and so too did Ashley Pittaway. 13th after the first heat, ended up 9th. So, President of the jury presenting the flowers to bronze medalist Kendall Wessenberg and our 2 gold medalists. You see already, 1 race in, we've already messed up the medals. Eleni Nikitina on the left, Jacqueline Lurling in the centre, the gold medalists, and Kendall Wessenberg taking bronze for the USA. That's the first of our action here in North America, the first race done and dusted in Lake Placid. Join us for the bobsleigh this afternoon. Till then, from John Morgan, the IBSF TV crew, I'm Martin Haven saying thank you for being with us. We'll see you later. Bye for now.